Hey guys, how's it going? So, I'm going to do this as a live stream tonight because it's late and I don't have time to do a full video, edit, upload, all that stuff through YouTube. But this isn't going to be a normal live stream, but it is a public service announcement for a couple things that are really encouraging going on in Michigan that patriots and like minded people should be getting excited and motivated about. So, I'm going to call this a call to action on a couple issues that a lot of you have been talking about for a long time. So, first things first, Governor Whitmer. I've talked about it a lot. So have a lot of people, how many of us view her as a tyrannical government that has a governor, that stepped outside of the rule of law. There were laws that, in my opinion, said that she had 28 days to do these emergency powers unless renewed by the state legislator, which they did not. And many of us believe that she's been outside of the rule of law for quite some time. And for these reasons and many others, there's been a large movement to recall Governor Whitmer as the governor of the state of Michigan. And that's what I would like to do too. So, as you guys know, there's been whole Facebook groups and sites. Many have been shut down because they censor the real news, which is YouTube, Facebook, things like that. And they only want you to know the narrative of what I call the fake news. But anyhow, there's been many efforts of recalls online, change.org, Facebook polls, things like that. Those are great and they're very encouraging, but none of those actually do anything, okay? So finally, today, I'm very pleased to announce there is an official petition to recall Gretchen Whitmer. And this is breaking just within the last couple hours. So according to the Detroit Free Press, it says the Board of State Canvassers approved petition language Monday, which is today, for a long shot effort to recall Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Now, the news is already slanting this as a long shot, and this whole article is pretty biased, to be honest with you. However, here's the facts of the matter. There's officially a real, legit, approved by the state, canvassers board. That's what you have to do to have it be a legal petition. And for any of the rest of you that are listening to this, state laws may vary if you're out of the state of Michigan, but generally you can Facebook poll all you want and you can go to change.org all you want. And it may mean something symbolically. It could help, but this is different than that. This is a real deal recall petition to potentially remove Governor Gretchen Whitmer from office of the governor of the state of Michigan. So any of you guys in your states, if you're not in Michigan, like I said, it may vary. So basically, there's a guy named Chad Bass. I don't know him. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he put up a petition, and it looks like after several attempts, it was finally approved unanimously. So what does that mean? It means there's going to be a petition, a canvassing. It's a whole process. So I put the link to this already down in the description of this video, but the website is recallgovernorwhitmer.com. And remember, Whitmer is Whitmer. So recallgovernorwhitmer.com, all one word. You're going to go there, and I'm going to click on it right now. There's lots of information. They're going to need help with volunteers collecting signatures and helping the committee. There's recall petition forms that you're going to download, and then there's going to be canvassing places where they're going to be doing updates on this website, it says very soon, telling you places where you can drop off these official petitions. Now, there's a law in Michigan that states the exact process of how one can attempt to recall a sitting governor. It's not easy. I'm going to get to the skinny of it right now. It requires about 1.1 million signatures. Now, if you look at Michigan having roughly, rough math here, 10 million people, you have to get a little over 1 in 10 people to sign the petition. And they have to be legit signatures that are going to be validated, checked, etc. So it's not going to be easy, but nothing that's really important in life is easy. So if you live in Michigan, again, this is a call to action to spread the news. You can spread the website yourself. If you think this video would be helpful, just grab the link to this video and share it in your Facebook groups and amongst all your friends in Michigan and see what we can do. So basically the reasons is her slew of executive orders, right, that had to do with the virus, the sickness, that's gone on in the United States and Michigan, and people have many different opinions on that, but many people, including me, think that she went way overboard. And as you know, if you're living in Michigan, she's still restricting people today, whereas much of the rest of the United States has been back to normal for quite some time. But my view is this: Governor Whitmer got a little bit of extra power, in my opinion, more than she should have. And she just doesn't want to let it go. And once you give people like this a little bit of power, they just want more and more and more, to the point where, in my opinion, it's time for her to go. Now, this is the peaceful, lawful way to do this. It's called recall. It's a legitimate thing. You can recall with hopefully enough signatures to hold a special election that would basically have a ballot up and down. Recall Gretchen Whitmer, yes or no. So the first process is to get these signatures. There's petitions. You're going to go to recallgovernorwhitmer.com, find the petitions on there. As of right now, this is, again, very soon. This just got approved by the state canvassing board just hours ago. So it looks like July 4th at the Capitol is going to be one of the canvassing locations. They have a timeline here showing the different events. I would note it says petition review was approved today on June 8th. Canvassing begins July 1st. Drive-up canvassing locations will be open. People can fill out their form from this website and either drive them to a canvassing location or send the signatures via mail. On the 4th of July, petition distribution and signing. And it says Capitol Lawn, Lansing, Michigan, Saturday, July 4th, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's Independence Day. And I think Independence Day is going to be a little different this year than it has in other years, because in the Declaration of Independence, it basically says that the government's there at the consent of people, and if they're ever contrary to people's core fundamental rights, their natural rights, I like to say God-given rights, that people can abolish said government and form a new one. Well, this is kind of how that works. It's called recall. So a lot of people have signed, like I said, change.org, places like that. That's cool. You know, it's good. Shows goodwill. Lets people know what the mood and sentiment is in the state of Michigan. However, this is actually a real recall. So I just wanted to let you guys know. I've had so many people that have said, hey, what's going on with the recall Whitmer movement? Now, I've been to the site, guys, okay? And this is getting bombarded. Like, this site just went up today. I'm seeing right now that it says there's 13,000 people that have visited it. So if the site's not working right this minute, you might have to hit refresh. You might have to come back. From what I understand, again, this is all developing and breaking right now. This is kind of a grassroots movement. There's a committee to recall Governor Whitmer, it looks like, on the website, and they are accepting donations. I'm not affiliated with the group, but it does say there's non-tax deductible, so it's not tax deductible, but paid for by the committee to recall Governor Gretchen Whitmer. So this is, I think, somewhat grassroots thing. I don't know how much bandwidth they paid for their server, but if you guys are noticing that the site's not always working, the 5 or 6 times I've gone to it just to collect information for this video, it lets me in about half the time. So you guys know how this works. But it is working better than the Michigan unemployment website, when so many people were trying to go there due to the far-reaching executive actions by Governor Whitmer. So it is working a lot better than that, I would say. And that's, again, one of the other reasons why many people, including me, would like to see the governor recalled, because she shut down the state and forced so many people to close, but didn't make sure that all the ducks were in a row for an unemployment system that, from what I've been told, is using mainframe servers and computer systems from the 70s and 80s. 30, 40-year-old infrastructure for web server systems and databases. Didn't bother to bring that up to snuff, just shut everything down and let people struggle with page cannot be displayed. Website is not in service right now. Just all these goofy messages that people would get just trying to desperately file for unemployment. So that's one of the many reasons why. Now, I would note that it looks like as much of the media wants to play this as a long shot, and there's no chance to actually recall her. Well, keep in mind, they also said Trump couldn't win no matter what, and Hillary was 99% chance to win, and that didn't happen either. So you guys can make up your own mind. Detroit Free Press, in my opinion, wrote a very slanted article saying this doesn't have a chance. It's a long shot. However, I would note that Gretchen Whitmer's campaign put up a Facebook post just about a week and a half ago, and she put up a post saying that this is a partisan attack, wanting her recalled, and that we need to stop the recall petition, she's saying to her people. So the fact that she's already fighting back, she's already name calling, and she's already, like I said, worried, in my opinion. So I'm not going to say this is a shoo-in. I want to say one more time, this will be very difficult to recall a governor, because there was a law that was changed just a few years ago in Michigan that made it extremely, extremely hard to do. However, the fact that her campaign is fighting back already and calling us names shows to me that there probably is actually a chance for this to happen. So, like I said, share this video, share the message. So many people wanted to recall her. I saw hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people joining Facebook groups. Recall Governor Whitmer. Going to change.org. Recall Governor Whitmer. I signed those things too. It was great. It felt great. But this is actually the real deal, okay? This was actually approved by the state canvassing board this afternoon, which is the 8th of June, 2020. So some of you guys aren't from Michigan. I'm sure it's probably boring to you guys. I'm sorry. I just think that this might offer some encouragement to even some of you out-of-staters if you're trying to do something like that in your state, knowing that it sucks, but there's a bunch of red tape you have to go through, and there's actually proper procedures. There's a process called canvassing. But hey, they finally got passed, and this has been rejected several times, just to let you guys know. This is not the first attempt. They had to go back quite a few times and change the verbiage, change the wording several times before the canvassing board, I think is what their official title is, did approve today. So recall Gretchen Whitmer. This is starting essentially right now. I think there's so many people going there. I'm kind of just scanning at the chat real quick, and yeah, looks like it's going to happen. So as far as people actually getting the recall going. So hey, just seeing some of you guys in here. I'm not going to talk too much to the chat tonight because I want this to be palatable for people to watch later, but I'm definitely going to be on here again Friday for my normal stream, and if something else comes up. And here's something else cool that you guys might like. Now, this is coming from Monroe, Michigan. And again, something the news isn't covering. I've called all kinds of people, family, friends in Monroe, and nobody knows about this. So apparently nobody reads the paper anymore. This was apparently published in the Monroe Evening News, but I can't find anyone that knows about it. And these are a couple resolutions that were passed by the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. And again, even if you're not in Monroe County, maybe this could offer encouragement for any of you that are living under tyranny and excess from your governor, right, in your state. And again, if you're in Michigan, I wish you well. And if you're in another state and you're struggling with a tyrannical governor, I also wish you well. There's a lot of people going through a lot of economic worry, economic damage, and many people feel that at this point in their life that the cure is worse than the disease. And in some cases, the disease was much worse than the cure. I'm not trying to lump anything into one bucket here, but we can't ignore the fact that there's a lot of problems happening, a lot of people getting sick, death, disparity happening because of this prolonged cure that's gone to the point where many of us, including me, think that the cure now is possibly and probably going to cause more damage than the actual original sickness itself. So yeah, one of the commenters right now is saying, yes, county commissioners have the kind of power that actually affects you a lot more than the president. And I was talking about this just in my last stream. And this isn't from Monroe, Michigan. This is for everybody in these United States, down to your school board, your township, your city hall, your county commissioners. These are the people that are going to make decisions that literally affect you when you walk out the door. Like, where your dog can take a crap, where you can walk on the streets, how you can live, how your children are getting educated, whether you're going to get persecuted on religious beliefs, whether your business is going to be forced to be shut down, gun control, speech control. So many of these things happen on the small level, and so few people actually go to these meetings. Stuff can happen with only 10 or 20 people voicing their opinion at a meeting, and it may or may not be something that you feel is in the spirit of what your county, city, township needs, right? So here's the resolution, and this is from actually June 2nd, 6 days ago, and still nobody knows about this, okay? Nobody knows about this. So this is Monroe County, Michigan. I don't have the links in there yet, but after this publishes, I'll put them right down in the description. And this is, I'll just show it to you guys real quick here. Okay. My friend Dawn Asper, in Monroe County, Michigan. Patriot, friend. Love you, Dawn. It's great, okay? In fact, we have a great group of county commissioners, period. Many of which I consider friends, but Dawn's the one that emailed this to me. So I just wanted to get this out to you all. If you live in Monroe County, listen up and tell your friends about this. The rest of you, like I said, maybe your county needs something like this. And when I provide the link, you could print it and you can walk right in as a member of the public during the open comments and say, hey, here's something a place called Monroe County, Michigan did, and I'd like my board to look at this. Like I said, whether it's township, city, county, etc. So there you guys go, right? Okay, Monroe County Board of Commissioners. Resolution 2, restore economic stability and freedom to Monroe County. The County Board of Commissioners of the County of Monroe, State of Michigan, states, whereas the County Board of Commissioners of the County of Monroe, State of Michigan, pursuant to Michigan statute, is vested with the authority of administering the affairs of the county government of Monroe County, Michigan, and is organized as a body corporate with powers and immunities provided by law and to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Monroe County and the employees of the Monroe County government. And whereas under the Emergency Management Act, 1976, PA 390, the governor may declare a state of disaster and a state of emergency for the reasons specified therein, including pandemics, and whereas a state of disaster or state of emergency declared under the Emergency Management Act continues until the government finds that the threat or disaster or emergency condition no longer exists, or until the declared state of disaster or emergency has been in effect for 28 days. Remember that. And whereas an executive order or proclamation declaring the state of disaster or emergency shall indicate the area or areas threatened, the conditions caused, and the conditions permitting the termination of the state of emergency. And whereas Executive Order 2020-33 states that the state of emergency and state of disaster will terminate when emergency and disaster conditions no longer exist, and appropriate programs have been implemented to recover from any effects of the statewide emergency and disaster consistent with legal authorities upon which the declaration is based, and any limits imposed by those authorities, including Section 3 of the Emergency Management Act, 1976, PA 390, MCL 30.403, and whereas the governor's reopening plan is based on regions and business categories, as opposed to the ability and readiness of individuals and businesses from all sectors to resume to their normal activities following CDC guidelines and their personal responsibilities to provide for their families and employees in the marketplace. And whereas Monroe County's Public Health Department took early swift measures to curb the spread of SARS-CoV-2 virus throughout Monroe County, and whereas the Monroe County Public Health Department continues to keep public officials informed with frequent updates on COVID-19 infection and spread data in our county, as well as engaging and informing the public, including businesses, with educational community press releases that provide hotline information and updated protective and preventative measures against COVID-19 following CDC guidelines. So they've been prepared, right? And whereas Monroe County never exceeded the capacity of its healthcare system to provide healthcare to its residents and has already established adequate supplies of PPE, the necessary respiratory care equipment, and sufficient hospital staffing and facilities needed according to projected requirements to reopen following CDC guidelines. And whereas the governor has not provided sufficient scientific data to justify restrictions on the immediate reopening of Monroe County following national guidelines, given the goals for reopening have been met, specifically flattening the demand curve for hospital and healthcare systems to meet the urgent needs of infected patients. And whereas the Monroe County Board of Commissioners believes that ongoing restrictions in the executive orders related to COVID-19 pandemic response, as they relate to Monroe County, Michigan, violate the personal civil liberties of Monroe County residents as protected by the United States Constitution and the Constitution of the State of Michigan of 1963. And whereas the Monroe County Board of Commissioners must urgently address the extraordinary harm sustained by broad sectors of our community, including disproportionate harm to small, medium, and large businesses alike, the working poor, and workers in the service industries as a result of ongoing restrictions replaced upon citizens and businesses in the current reopening plan and set forth in the executive orders. And whereas the response to the COVID-19 pandemic must be balanced so as not to make the collateral impacts even more devastating and punitive, including but not limited to permanent business closures, unemployment, poverty, isolation, delayed medical care, domestic violence, substance abuse, and suicide. And whereas the Monroe County Board of Commissioners believes all businesses, let me read that again. Whereas the Monroe County Board of Commissioners believes all businesses, employees, and residents of Monroe County are essential because they provide for the health and livelihood of our community. Let it therefore be resolved that the Monroe County Board of Commissioners encourages the people of Monroe County to proceed to engage in restoring economic stability for their families and businesses, while continuing to follow safe practices according to national guidelines, and as our community continues to take specific measures to protect the populations most at risk, including the elderly, those with complicating health conditions, and those residing in nursing homes and retirement facilities. And be it further resolved that the Monroe County Board of Commissioners encourages businesses of capital all sectors in Monroe County to determine the best approach to prepare for and implement national guidelines for safely opening/reopening their businesses while protecting the safety of employees and customers. This resolution was adopted by the Monroe County Board of Commissioners at a regular meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners held by an electronic video teleconference via Zoom meeting pursuant to Executive Order 2020-75 by an affirmative vote of no less than a majority of the members of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners who are elected and serving on the second day of June 2020. The resolution was offered by Commissioner Asper and supported by Commissioner Moore. A roll call vote was taken, and this resolution was passed by a vote of 9-0. Those commissioners voting in favor, and these are patriots: David Hoffman, Mark Brandt, Don Asper, George Jandro, Jason Turner, Jerry Oley, David Swardhout, Greg Moore Jr., and J. Henry Levens. Those commissioners voting against, none. Those commissioners abstaining, none. Signed by J. Henry Levens, Chairman, and Sharon D. Lemasters, Monroe County Clerk. So, Monroe County, Michigan grew a pair, guys. Basically said, look, reopen your businesses right now, pursuant to the national CDC guidelines, which say you can open your businesses right now, and you've been able to for a long time. And they're clearly stating, like so many of us have said before, I know I've said it in my videos 100 times in the last couple of months, we can't let the cure cause more damage, more harm, more death than the actual sickness. And that's not to take away from the sickness, because I agree with everything I'm reading in here, especially where it clearly states that they are going to be taking care of people that are risks, have underlying conditions, right? People that are in nursing homes, care facilities, things like that. Yeah, I definitely agree with that part of the resolution too. So it's a thing where we're taking care of the people. Dang, Chair. We're taking care of the people that need the most help. But in Monroe County, we're not going to keep quarantining the healthy. Because really, I'm not giving medical advice on here. Susan Wiki, if you're listening, there's no medical advice here. I'm not a doctor. I'm just reporting the news of the resolution of the meeting. But they're making it very clear here that there's not much science that's been used on any of this. And as far as I know, this is the first time I've ever seen them quarantine the healthy people while forcing sick people to go into nursing homes and force cross-contamination of people that are truly the most at risk. So I'm glad that Monroe County, like I said, has the guts and fortitude to be patriots. If there's anybody else that's thinking about something that they need in their county, just bear with me. As soon as I get off here, I'm going to paste the links. I'm going to try to figure out how to upload these, in other words, to the video. They were emailed to me by Commissioner Don Asper. And I think this is a big step, because it's basically telling Gretchen, no, we're just going to open up in Michigan, and doesn't really matter what you have to say. And you know what the straw that broke the camel's back was for me the other day? Is the fact that, let's go back to April 30th, Lansing, Michigan. Me and a bunch of you all went to Lansing. And we knew back then, and this is almost a month and a half ago, we knew that there was so much government overreach by the executive in Michigan. And we knew at that time that the cure was probably going to cause more damage, economic damage, socioeconomical damage, sickness, depression, and death than the actual sickness itself. And we knew that. And we went there to protest. Peaceful rally, patriots rally. And we encouraged the legislators, do not give her another 28 days. And they did not give her another 28 days. And she came on TV swiftly. And she lied. And she lied some more. She lies like a rug, guys. She got on there and said people violently sieged the Capitol, which was untrue. Nobody was hurt. People were there just to say enough is enough. We want our representatives and senators to vote. Or in this case, not vote, to extend. And they did not extend. And in my opinion and many other people's, that's the day that this was over. See, they haven't been doing anything to anybody since the beginning of May, end of April, because legally, again, in my opinion, not being a lawyer, it's been over ever since then. But no, she keeps going and going and going. She says, well, now you can have a party of 10 people. Well, maybe you can get together with 50 people. No, actually, you can do whatever you want. Okay? If you want to wear a mask, God bless you. Please wear a mask. If you want to stay at home, please stay at home. But if you want to live your life in Monroe County, Michigan, you don't have to worry about it. Retroactive back to the 2nd, right here in Monroe County. They're not going to come after you in Monroe, is how I read this. So just do it, guys. Do whatever you want to do, okay? So here's where it got really hypocritical, though. After we did that rally, the Freedom Rally, saying, open up. Enough's enough. We have families to feed. We're worried about health. We're the most compassionate people. We care about everybody's health, right? But there's mental health, too. And mental health is just as real as physical health. And financial despair can cause problems in relationships. People that are used to working 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week that now have to sit at home. It's just not healthy. So again, there's two types of health here, and we all knew that. But she said, after you guys got together to protest in Lansing, I'm going to have to keep the stay-at-home orders longer. And I'm going to have to prolong this because you exercise your natural rights. I call them God-given rights that were endowed by your creator. She said that she was going to have to extend it. And she was snarky. And she kind of laughed and said, well, now I'm going to have to extend it. And you know what? It wasn't cute. It wasn't cute at all. Because this has caused a lot of despair, a lot of sickness, and a lot of death due to her executive orders and actions. And then I saw stuff that happened after that. Somebody was killed by the police. And as far as I can tell, again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not privy to the jury information. But as far as I can tell, it was completely despicable. I disavow. I do not condone. Terrible thing happened. Probably looks like murder to me by a police officer. And it was terrible. Because as I said earlier, death, unnecessary death, is terrible in this country, right? We all value every breath. Every breath we get is a gift from God, right? And then you know what happened? People took to the streets and they protested. And nobody will stand for people's rights more to protest than I. I protested in Lansing. I was shunned for it because I was getting sick and tired of the death. And I was sick and tired of the economic deprivation. People having a hard time coming up with their next meal. I was worried about human lives of all colors, of all creeds, religions, everybody. When I say everybody, I mean everybody, because all lives matter. And I'm not ashamed to say it. All lives matter. And anyone that says all lives don't matter is bigoted. All lives matter. No matter what color you are, no matter what race you are, everybody's life matters. And when we went there to fight for everybody's life that was getting deprived of its life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, mental health, physical health, undiagnosed diseases, quarantining the healthy while infiltrating where the vulnerable sick people are with other sick people. We went to protest that. She said, I'm going to have to extend it longer. And then again, completely unexcusable death happened. Saddened. I'm saddened by it. Most of you are too. And she was out there with the protesters. Not 10, 20, not 100, not 200, thousands of them. And she was in the street. And there's photographic evidence to prove it. And Governor Whitmer was not social distancing. Because when we were worried about all lives and everybody in Michigan, no matter what color or religion or gender or preference, we didn't care. We were there to protect everybody in Michigan. She condemned, but then she took to the streets. Why? Because she has a social agenda. And all people have agendas, I get it. But the governor, the chief executive of the state of Michigan, no. You're supposed to be above that. You're supposed to faithfully execute the law. That's what the executive branch does. You're not supposed to be empress. You're not supposed to be ruler. You're supposed to be a humble public servant, and which she is not. So there's another rally coming up on the 18th. I encourage everybody to go and protest. Because if you're in Michigan, your governor stood amongst thousands of protesters whose right to protest I value. Okay? I went to Howell, Michigan with some other patriots, great people who are in here right now. And we went there to protect the rights of people to protest. Okay? We went there to protect the rights of Black Lives Matter to protest in case rioters were to come, because when rioters come, they ruin everybody's rights. The peaceful protesters, it's dangerous for everybody. And we were well received, okay? And made some friends while we were there. So I took time to help people protest that are completely on the other side of the political aisle than me. So I don't know when people are going to finally get it through their heads that it's the media that's sitting there trying to divide us. The regular, everyday people. It's not about the color of our skin. It's not the part of our religion. On a personal level, of course it is. Your religion, your politics, these are important to you. But when you look at the United States of America, the state of Michigan, it's so much bigger than any of that crap. So yes, all people should protest whenever they want, about whatever they want. Peacefully protest. Riot is not a protest. And once you go to a riot, you're now treading on other people's life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And I'm a true believer that your rights go all the way to the point where they're infringing upon somebody else's. And as soon as you're using your rights to take away somebody else's, you're no longer living as a civil human being. You're basically living as a dog at that point, running around the streets, rampaging, pillaging, acting, quite frankly, uncivil, right? So there you go. Disavow riots. But riots and protests are two different things. So we were shunned when we protested because we wanted to protect many lives in Michigan. Many lives. Every color you could think of, every religion you could think of, every sexual preference, it didn't matter what it was. We were trying to protect all lives. And I'm glad to hear now that Monroe County is also looking with this resolution, economic stability, to restore economic stability and freedom to Monroe County. I'm excited. If you guys are just getting in here, to inform you, there's a real Recall Whitmer. The link's in the description, recallgovernorwhitmer.com. It's gone through the state canvassing board. They approved it 4-0 today. They're great to do, but all of them that are on like Facebook and change.org, they're kind of just for fun. They don't really have a chance. This is the real one, guys. You get enough signatures on this, and they will have to have a special election. 1.1 million signatures. A little over 10 million people live in Michigan, so it's going to be up to you guys to spread the word, spread the message, and if you go to the website, they're going to give you more information. I'm not part of this group. I just found about all of this today. However, I'm going to do what I can to do my little part to try to get her recalled, because I do not believe she is legally and properly executing the laws of Michigan. I believe she's gone rogue, and I do not believe it is in the best health, mentally or physically, of Michiganders to have her as our chief executor. So for many, many reasons, but that's basically my opinion on that. So yeah, You guys can go back and watch from the beginning. It's gone on longer than I thought it would, this stream, but I just kind of wanted to put it out there live because when I upload it first and YouTube throttles it, and you guys know how it goes. I'll be lucky if they even keep this video up because they hate this kind of stuff. But, yep, Monroe County, Michigan, resolution. This would probably be something good to have in all counties in Michigan. So if you need something like this, I will try to get the PDFs uploaded somehow with a link in the description. If not, you can probably find it on the Monroe County Board of Commissioners website. I'll provide those in a little bit. And the recall Governor Whitmer link is already in the description of this video right now. And if it helps you guys, I'm going to throw it in here. 2A Livingston, thanks a lot, man. And again, 2A Livingston, the group. Look, this isn't like a big profit group. This isn't a group like that at all. This is just regular people, friends of mine, friends of many of yours. We were the ones there protecting people's rights to peaceably assemble, peacefully protest. It was very well received by the protesters, by the local police, the mayor, and many others. So it was really cool. And I'm just sick and tired of it. Am I the only one? I know I kind of got on a rant here, guys, but am I the only one that thinks it's the most hypocritical thing in the world? That when we go there to protest, things that the government's doing to cause disparity, and ultimately, I just got to put it bluntly, guys, death. That we're considered the bad guys and that she has to lock us down longer. But then when there's another death, which is also completely despicable, should have never happened, at the hand of the government, she goes out and marches with them. It doesn't socially distance at all. Now, I'm actually glad the governor marched with them. I really am. And I'm glad that there were so many peaceful protests for what the nasty jackbooted officers did. Okay? Because here's the thing. We may have so much that we conflict with a lot of people on the left, but all of the guys I know that are patriots, that are pro-gun, we have just as much disdain for an overreaching government and jackbooted cops as any Black Lives Matter member I've ever met. Now, we would probably at that point start to split. They want to totally get rid of police. I don't. So we can only go so far, but that's one thing. If you just start at the very beginning, I do not like jackbooted thugs wearing badges. Anybody with a badge. I talked about it a month ago. It's called deprivation of rights under color of law. I talked about this 2 weeks before any of these current situations happen. So nobody can say that I'm just a Johnny-come-lately to this. I've always spoken out against deprivation of rights under color of law. And that includes for anybody in the United States of America. So I'm glad the governor would stand with the people that were protesting. I'm glad that she didn't care about social distancing because I believe that's all over now. And I wonder what's going to happen next time when we have our rally in Michigan coming up here. I believe it's on the 18th. Let me check my calendar. Yep, Thursday, the 18th. We'll see if she's going to stand with us. We're going to see if she stands with us. And Black Lives Matter is anti-gun. I don't stand with Black Lives Matter, guys. I stand with Black Lives, okay? Let me be very specific. I don't stand with the group, BLM, and their politics. I don't stand with their gun control, okay? Don't stand with any of that, okay? None of that. I was just proving a point that I'm against jackbooted cops, thugs in uniform, just as much as they are. That's all I meant by that. Those have to go. Anybody who's against our God-given rights and they become contrary to that should not be in any type of public office whatsoever. So that's all I meant. Politically, no, I don't agree. But I will protect the rights of people to protest that I don't. And it sure is a shame that they never protect ours, isn't it? And that's why Governor Gretchen Whitmer needs to go. She's caused enough disparity. Enough's enough. This is the legal way to do it. So let's recall her. Share this message to everybody. I know a lot of you guys are going to be working hard on it, and I wish you all luck. So I'm getting ready to get off of here. There's a bunch of you in here. Normally in my streams, I like to spend a bunch of time saying hi to everybody, but this one's a little different because I want it to be, somewhat palatable for people just to listen to later as a podcast or whatever. So God bless these Monroe County commissioners, the people of Monroe County, people in the great state of Michigan, and quite frankly, all of you in the United States who might have different local situations, but a lot of people have problems, and everyone's problems are real. So I wish all of you the best. Anybody that's sick, I hope we're taking care of our sick, being very respectful to our vulnerable. I don't want anybody to think that I'm being cavalier with this sickness. I'm not. I just have to call a spade a spade. It's the first time in my life I can remember when they were quarantining the healthy and forcing sick people to be with the most vulnerable. And that is what happened in Michigan, period, end of story. It made no sense, and I believe it was without the rule of law. So recall Whitmer, give a big hand, a thumbs up to the Monroe County commissioners, and maybe some of your counties will adopt something similar, or maybe they already have. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a good week. Thanks for joining me. It's 95 degrees in here. Yeah, I need to go take an ice cold shower. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.